Hi guys, and hello from the hilltop. I'm Waxahachie Blue, and I want to welcome you to my channel, The Plateau Perfectionist. Today's video is my setting up of my bullet journal for the year 2022. So the journal that I will be using this particular year is called Sequeeze? I honestly don't know. It's Seques, and if you can pronounce it for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I honestly have no idea. But anyway, I found this particular bullet journal on Amazon because I'm an Amazon shopper. Not necessarily sponsored or anything. It's just that's the one I decided to go with. It seemed pretty good bang for your buck. It's 160 GSM paper, just like all of the other bullet journals that I use. And it's my favorite color. I love the ginkgo leaf on it, and that's what I decided to go with. Also, just as a reminder, so this particular year, I am doing a 2 for 22 challenge. And basically what it is I will be, before I started all of this, I took inventory of all of the markers that I have. I wrote down, they're all color-coded, they have numbers, just like Tombows have numbers, and I color-coded all of my Crayola Super Tips. And I cut them all out in teeny tiny little pieces and put them in a jar. And I shook it real well and picked two, and those are the colors that I'll be using for each of my videos. So for this particular video, I ended up with my Tombow 062. It's part of the pastel set. And I had also some markers that were given to me by a good friend, these Art 101s. And it was Art 101 in the orange color. I actually lucked out in that I think these colors go real well together. And then I also included just some of my craft paper sticky notes that I kind of cut up. And then in addition to this 2 for 22 challenge, I am allotting myself, I can use a black pen, obviously, because I'm sorry, some colors just don't write very well. I can also use whiteout gel pens if need be, and then silver and gold accordingly. Also, just to let you know, my personal Christmas gift to myself came in, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But that means that I can't really do my voiceovers in my usual location. I'm going to try to do them right here at my desk. So if you ever happen to hear my cat meowing in the background or random noises in the background, that's probably why. So for a Christmas gift for myself, it was a reward to myself for being able to pay off my student loans. I bought myself a new computer. This computer is bigger, it's faster, and hopefully it kind of helps me perfect my image quality a little bit on my videos. Or at least that's what I'm hoping it will do. It's an HP something. It's an HP all-in-one swanky thing. It was something that I really wanted personally. It's something that I decided to invest money in, and I'm hoping it will do me right for the next several years. Alright, so now that my kind of quote-unquote title page is done, I don't know about you, but this white page and the page next to it, they always seem to have a bit of an adhesive to them, and they don't like to come apart. So I personally just tape those suckers together. It makes for an extra thick cover, and that's what I do. I did put my key here, so for my second half of my 2021, I did not do a key. So I did like a quote page or something. But since I'm starting a new year with a new journal, I decided to go ahead and put a key in. I absolutely hated how condensed these particular things looked, so I wrote them out on a sticky note and kind of just inputted them, on secondly. I do my bullet journals different than everybody because I'm weird. So for tasks, I usually do an asterisk star. If I've completed it, I cross it out because that's what I love to do. It's just something mental. I just love to cross things out and know that I'm done with it. If it's canceled, I scribble it. And if it's just kind of a bit of information that I wanted to add into my journal but doesn't necessarily pertain to anything, I'll do a little dot. And then on to my index. Pardon the uhs and ums. I do this in one take. I don't like doing multiple takes. Don't start with me, cat. My cat will probably have an argument with me during this, so enjoy the humor that is me having an argument with a feline. But I digress. So, something I did find that I enjoyed with my bullet journal last year that I've decided to kind of incorporate in as often as I can is the tabby doos. It just makes everything flow so much better. To have these little tabby doos, I don't know why. Maybe it's a mental thing, maybe I'm crazy. One of the two. But I digress. So what I've done is for my setup pages, I allotted for this extra strip where I will have tabs for all of my items for the setup. And then I will probably continue on with this theme in some shape, form, or fashion for each of my months. And something I did add at the very end of this was the couple of washis, the washi tapes that I used. I did include strips of each of them on each of the sides. You'll see, to kind of help, I guess, mentally, calorically. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Visually, that's the word I'm looking for. Visually show these are my setup pages. These are, my month of January, etc. Or at least that's what I'm hoping it will be. Or I'll get annoyed with them and I'll peel them off. One of the two. But I digress. So this was my index page. This is the second half of my index page. I do usually end up going through 2 pages just because I do. And then, of course, the grid spacing. This particular grid spacing is based off of several other ones that I have found. Most specifically is Amanda Rach Lee's grid spacer. I refer to this all the time. In fact, you won't see it in this because I edited it out. I actually referred to this while I was setting up some of my other ones. And I do kind of chop a little bit in my editing. I do apologize for that. I'm still learning editing. But, I only had the 2 colors to work with, so I had to kind of figure out how to make those work and still look different. The orange worked great. The yellow, the pale yellow, not so much, but you can go with what you got. Yeah. So on top of getting this setup video out, as well as the January plan with me that is coming up soon, which I still need to film and edit and voiceover and all that good stuff, and do a walkthrough, so that's 3 videos this particular month, if I can squeak it. I am also training for my new job that I will be starting at the beginning of January. Will you please stop clawing at my carpet? Psst. Stop clawing at the carpet. Ugh. Told you, we're going to have arguments through this whole video. This is why I usually do my voiceovers in my closet, where she can't bug me. I digress. So on top of these 3 videos, I am also training for my new job. For anybody who particularly cares, I am still going to be staying in a kind of clerical position, but I am moving 2 blocks down to a different building, and I will quote unquote be my own boss and all that good loveliness, and hopefully it all works out. But in the meantime, I have to do training, so I'm working my full-time job Monday through Friday, and then immediately after that I am going over to 2 blocks over to my other job and training. And so basically I am working 8 a.m. to about 6:30 at night, solid, Monday through Friday. And then I am also trying to, I filmed this ahead of time so I could go ahead and start working on it. I have to go out of town this weekend, and I still somewhere in there have to get all of this filmed. And this particular month is crazy. Oh, and then on top of that, I also had to go to a baby shower / going away party at my church. And we also have a couple of Christmas parties at my office. And it's It's annoying. Speaking of annoying, I'm gonna go deal with my cat. 1 second. Here's to hoping that this actually fixes the problem. I literally had to go throw her outside. She'll be fine. She's an indoor-outdoor cat, but mostly indoor. But she does like to go outside, especially when the moon is out and she can go chase species mice. I live in the middle of nowhere. There is no traffic to run her over. Don't freak out. Don't panic. On to pretty flowers. Yeah. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so this is the first half of my future log. I decided to keep the spread kind of the same as I did in my last one. Original thought has just about all but escaped my brain. And yeah, pretty much. I did like how these particular flowers came out. Very, very line aesthetic kind of look. They're flowers. They look like flowers, and they're just kind of there. And I liked it. And for all I know, I may continue on with that for the rest of it. The flowers I did on this one, not so much. I just kind of started going with it. And yeah, that's how we're gonna do. I tried to do bigger flowers kind of higher up because I thought the other ones just weren't all that great. Like size-wise, I thought they were kind of too far low on the bottom, and then I put these on there, and I hated it, but I decided to keep going because, you know, why not? And yeah, you get where I'm going with this. Oh yeah, so yes. Oh dear. You know what? No, I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking. I'm just gonna let you enjoy the pretty flowers, and then I'll come back on the next spread. How about that? I like that plan. That sounds like a good plan. Let's go with that one. So since my student loans are finished, and trust me, there is an excessive amount of joy, despite my very neutral tone. I'm honestly just tired. But since my student loans are finished, I still want to save money. I am not one of those that can just kind of have money loitering around in my bank account. I'm the kind of person that it needs to go somewhere and it needs to hide from view so that way it doesn't really get spent. Another goal that I am trying to kind of move myself towards is hopefully purchasing my own vehicle. And so in order to accomplish that, I want to save up almost the equivalent of what I was putting towards my student loans in savings. So my goal for this particular year is to save about $10,000, or as close to that as I can get, or over if I can achieve it. And in order to kind of show that, I decided to create this spread, again going with the flower theme. There are 10 flowers. Each of the flowers has 5 petals, and so that's $200 for each petal. And pretty much just as I go through the month or through the year, I will write down the $200 that I moved over in order to move into savings so I can progress on this goal. And that's why the flowers are big and chunky. And so I have room to write because my handwriting is already so gorgeous. Just imagine it when it's tiny. And I did try to give it a little bit of flair. I did several different kinds of flowers. Also, you'll notice the sun is slowly creeping up on my bullet journal. I recorded this, I believe, if not on a Saturday, then on a Sunday. And of course, the sun, it's a race against the clock for the sun. and that's just how it goes. So you'll see here in a second, my battery was dying on my phone, on my camera anyway. So while it was charging on the charger, I had to change my lighting and stuff. So the sun streaks go away. And you'll be able to see the rest of it. But thus is life. I'm not going to argue against the sun. But again, I just kind of created this little Brady cord thing to connect these together, to kind of hopefully show my progression over the course of the year. And we'll see when I check in at the end of the year how well I did on my savings goal. Like I said, this is just a savings goal. This is not as pressing as the student loans were, because I really wanted to get those done and over before the forbearance went away. One of the very, very, very few perks of COVID is the student loan forbearance. I'm going to call it the proverbial silver lining to the dark cloud. But yes, so this, I just kind of wanted to make this flow across the page. We'll just go with what it is. And then I did end up adding just a couple of things. As you'll see, the light changes. I added a quote page to it, and some wiggly lines, because you always need wiggly lines. And we'll go from there. Now the next spread, that one is a new one, something that I created just for this particular bullet journal, and I'll get to that in a second. But in the meantime, enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next spread. So this particular spread I kind of sped up because I had to draw all these grids, and I'll explain why in a second. But this is what I am calling a 4-3-2-1 challenge. I know, I love the word challenge this year, but I digress. I was going to originally do 5-4-3-2-1, but I didn't have enough square footage on my pages. So what this challenge is I am trying to add some habits to my personal routine and turn some of those habits into routines. When I first moved up here, I started the habit of making my bed, and I made my bed every single morning, and eventually it became a routine, and that works wonderfully. I really enjoy making my bed now. It's become a routine. It's something that I do without even thinking. Some other things that I would like to incorporate into that I have slacked off on, especially towards the second half of this year, is walking. I ended up, just because of the weather change and some life issues, I ended up not being able to walk as often as I used to when I first moved out here. I would really like to get back into that habit. I also started to incorporate yoga as well as meditation, which again, I have fallen off of the bandwagon. And then there's brushing my teeth. I know, it sounds gross, and I'm sorry, but it is just a habit that I just can't seem to get my brain around to remember to brush my freaking teeth. It's probably why I have issues with cavities, but I digress. So the 4-3-2-1 challenge is for every time that I manage to accomplish this goal, I will cross off a box. Brush teeth is the most important one, hence why it has 400 boxes. Walking has 300, yoga has 200, and meditate has 100. And this is to help me not only get back into these habits, but to hopefully turn these habits into routines. On to the next spread. Is it bad I can't even remember what this particular spread was? Yeah, I've slept since then. Oh, I remember what it is. This is my word of the year. One of the things that I like to do every year is to have a word that inspires me to keep me focused on my goals. And so last year's word was progress. In order to keep me focused on making progress on like my student loans, on my keto and losing weight goals, which did help, but I still never met that particular threshold for my goals. Anyway, this particular year's word is choice. Again, this ties into how I kind of fell off the wagon on some of my habits, especially towards the end of the year. I started slacking real bad on some things like going for walks, brushing my teeth, keeping up with my yoga habit and other things. And like I said, I fell out of the habit. So again, this particular year, my word is choice, because it is a choice to focus on these things. It is a choice to ignore if I decide not to do it. You know, if the weather is bad, I could either choose to go out and walk anyway. I could choose to go ride my mom's recumbent bicycle. It's stationary, so I wouldn't have to do it in the snow. Or I could choose not to, but again, every habit starts with a choice. And so that is one reason why this is my word of the year, and I tried to make it kind of florally and pretty. I really did enjoy the colors that I used for my second bullet journal for July to December, but I really didn't want to fall back on that. I wanted to try to step out of my zone, use the two colors that I have, and try to do this floral, and I think it came out okay until I added the 3D-ness, and then the flowers kind of stick out in the wrong places, but I digress. I edited it so you don't really have to see it all that much, but if you look for it too closely, you'll see. It's something that I particularly do, and it's not to put myself down. It's I am human, and I make mistakes in my art. Like on the top of this E, oh my goodness, I made a mistake, and my whiteout just did not hide it like I thought it would. But anyway, so I'm human. I make mistakes, and I point out my own mistakes, because if I don't, somebody else will. Oh my goodness, thank goodness it is 7:30 when I am making this voiceover. And my Webtoons had to remind me, hey, there's new Webtoons. It also had to remind me that I forgot to mute this before I did my voiceover. Again, human. If you can't laugh at your own mistakes, then what are you? I would rather laugh at my own mistakes than I would somebody else's. So, just, it's my personal choice. See what I did there? Yeah. But some things that I am going to hopefully choose to do is to stay on target with my 4-3-2-1 challenge, to improve on my editing skills. Now that I have a little more wiggle room in my budget, I'm hoping to maybe take some Skillshare videos. I've heard they're highly recommended on how to improve my editing skills on my videos. Choose to save extra money so I can hopefully get that new car, or new to me car, whichever happens, and just that's my word of the year, and those are the reasons behind it. In the meantime, please enjoy my lovely turning this into 3D-ness and how it doesn't match up with the flowers. I did kind of give it a little bit of a swag in that I did this decal up here at the top. This was surprisingly time-consuming. I don't think they ever really mentioned just how time-consuming it is to put 3 lines turned sideways, 3 lines turned sideways, over and over and over again. That's why I only did it 2 rows on the top and 2 rows on the bottom. But I think it did add it added quite a bit of pizzazz to this particular spread. So yeah, word to the wise, if you decide to do this particular pattern, it makes your hand hurt a lot. And through the power of editing, it goes very, very quickly, but in real life, it does take a hot minute. Poof. Next one. So this is going to be my last particular spread for my setup, and that is the 2 for 22 challenge. This is where I write down my my color choices and keep samples of my washi tapes and things that I use for each of my months. You'll see it hopefully in my my going through of my last 2021's books. That's it. 2021 bullet journals, that you'll see how I kind of keep tabs on all of the colors that I use. I do actually refer back to this page fairly often, because that way I don't end up duplicating my colors and stuff from year to year. But in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and add my strips of washi to the edge of each of these pages, like I said, to kind of give myself a bit of a cohesive mental set. I don't even know why I did this. I just thought I'd go ahead and do it because it's my journal. Why not? And I was hoping if I did these on the tabby do pages, they wouldn't necessarily poke out and they wouldn't catch on things and they wouldn't rip anyway. So again, human, this is what I decided to do. But in the meantime, while I slap these random pieces of washi tape on the edges of my bullet journal, I want to thank you for taking the extra 10 minutes, well, this is almost 30 minutes, out of your day to watch my video. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed hearing me rant and yell at my cat, please give it a like. I always appreciate likes, as well as comments. I love hearing from people, and whether you enjoyed it or not, don't worry about it. I still appreciate you. And if you enjoyed my content, by all means, feel free to subscribe and keep an eye out for. I try to get at least one video out a month, even if it is only my setup spread or setup for the next month kind of situation. I'm gonna be, like I said, working through this 2 for 22 challenge, and we'll see how it all goes. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing if you feel inclined. I appreciate you. And if you can find me here. I am also on Instagram at The Plateau Perfectionist with underscores in between each word. And I am also on Facebook by the same name, but minus the underscores. Enjoy the final flip through, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.